I am Kim Snyder, and thank you so much for joining me for the Sane Crypto Podcast, the first cryptocurrency podcast for baby boomers investing for retirement. Most people believe that crypto assets are too risky for the average investor. I believe that the risk is in not investing, and that in fact, cryptocurrency may be the answer to near retirees' prayers. The trick, though, is to structure our investment so that if the naysayers are right, we don't do irreparable harm to our nest egg. But if the believers are right, we make potentially life-changing money that can catapult us across that retirement finish line. The Sane Crypto Mastermind is my signature program for those who want cryptocurrency-type returns, maybe need cryptocurrency-type returns, but can't, won't, or don't have time to figure this all out and keep up with it on their own. If you'd like to learn more, I would encourage you to join my free online training, which is called How a Little Bit of Bitcoin Can Make Your Retirement Savings Go a Lot Further at sanecrypto.com/retirement. This week, we're going to go back to the listener mailbag. I got this email from Dean. Thank you, Dean. He says, Kim, great podcast. I've listened to about 80% so far, and I am new to the space. My question is, what are the steps to actually placing the order and buying Bitcoin? What platform would you recommend, and any other details to cover? Thanks. So that's a really great question. How easy or how hard this seems to you is going to depend a lot on how much experience you have investing in other publicly traded assets like stocks, options, futures, or currencies. If you are an active investor in any of these, then the way that you buy and sell Bitcoin is going to feel very familiar to you. If you are new to investing, or maybe you're not, but you've always relied on a financial advisor to manage your investments, so you really haven't done the nitty-gritty pushing the buttons to buy and sell, then this can be a little bit intimidating at first. But, look, as with all things, usually, once we've done it a time or two, we find ourselves wondering, why we thought it was so hard in the first place. And I really think that's the case with buying and selling Bitcoin. So I'm going to start with the easiest way to just dip your big toe in the water. And then we'll progress to how you would buy and sell larger dollar amounts of crypto assets. So the first thing that you will need is an account with an exchange. Now this is kind of semantics, but I will just point out that this is slightly different than what we do with legacy financial markets. Meaning, if I want to buy or sell stocks, then I open an account with a brokerage firm like Fidelity, Schwab, Ameritrade, or whomever. They then place the order on my behalf on the exchanges. They give them some of my money. The exchange gives them back the stock or whatever it is, right? And they show that in my account. So in the case of a stock, that would be NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, for example. For other assets, it would be like the brokerage firm would trade for me on the Chicago Board Options Exchange or the Chicago Mercantile Exchange or whatever, okay? Well, with crypto assets, there are no brokers. So we are opening our account with the exchanges directly. And again, it's not really important. It's pretty much invisible to you, but I just want to be clear on our terminology. So, because I find myself saying open an account with a broker all the time, and that's really not, it's just habit. It's really not right. So you will first open an account at an exchange. Now, let's imagine that, you just want to invest a very small amount of money. Could literally be as little as $1. Most people don't know that. You could buy $1 of Bitcoin. But let's say less than $1,000, okay? Or you might invest more later, but you just want to experience it first. Remember when Bill Clinton said he smoked pot but didn't inhale? Kind of like that. The fastest, easiest, most painless way to do that, assuming that you are in the US, but don't live in Wyoming, Minnesota, or Hawaii, is with Circle Invest. If you want to check it out first, just go to circle.com and then click on Circle Invest. In case you're wondering why not Wyoming, Minnesota, or Hawaii, it is because, for the moment at least, all of these exchanges in the United States are regulated and licensed separately in each individual state. So depending on where they are in the process or how onerous the regulations are in a particular state, different exchanges have different or certain states that they are not yet licensed in or may choose not to do business in. Therefore, if you live in that state, you can't open an account with them. And what makes Circle great for beginners and small dollar amounts is that it is absolutely drop dead simple. It's an app on your phone. Just do a search for Circle Invest. You download it from either Apple or the Android marketplaces. They also have links all over their website at circle.com. And the app is beautiful. There's no jargon. It's super intuitive. As Circle says on their homepage, it's crypto without the cryptic. And assuming that you bank with a reasonably mainstream bank, so, I'm not talking about like my little small town rural local bank, okay? But, a reasonably mainstream bank, then you can literally sign up and own your first Bitcoin. Again, as little as $1 worth within minutes. If you're not at one of those mainstream banks, you can still open an account, but it's not going to be minutes. The process is a little bit more involved. Okay. Now, I'll put some screenshots up on the show notes so that you can see kind of what this looks like. But again, you can see plenty of those screenshots also on their website at circle.com. And you're looking for, they have a couple of different services, Circle Pay. Anyway, you're looking for Circle Invest, okay? All right, and really what you're going to see is it's as simple as basically an online banking app, maybe more so. Really straightforward. You will open your account. You've downloaded, installed the app on your phone. You will open your account by following the prompts on the screen after you download the app. It will then tell you to connect a bank account. You'll select the logo and name of your bank. It is a one-time secure authorization. You will put in your online banking login information, but that's not going to Circle. That's actually you're basically logging into your bank and then creating an authorization for Circle and your bank to work together. Okay, I get that question a lot. I don't want to put my bank credentials in these exchange firms. You're not. You're putting them in your bank. Okay. And then as soon as the bank account is connected, which if there are no problems will be like, instant, then you just click the button that says deposit USD, meaning US dollars. Tell it how many dollars, and then presto whammo, there it is. The dollars are in your Circle account. It shows up instantly and is available for you to buy your first crypto asset instantly, like right then. So if I wanted to buy Bitcoin, for example, which is what Dean asked about, then I click on Bitcoin and then the button that says buy Bitcoin, or actually I think it says BTC, buy BTC, which is the symbol, the shorthand. And again, presto whammo, the money is deducted from your account and the Bitcoin is there in its place. And you can, once it's there, you can watch, you just open the app, you can see the price, you can see what it's worth, nice charts, all of those things. It's really super slick. Now, selling, when it comes to that, works exactly the same way, only it's in reverse. You click on Bitcoin, you hit sell, and then the funds are available to either buy something else or transfer back to your bank account. So a couple of caveats though. I really don't recommend Circle for investing anything over $1,000. And the reason is that you could end up with a Hotel California situation. Specifically, one of the big drawbacks of Circle is that you can't transfer funds anywhere but back and forth between your bank account. You can't move them to a different brokerage account or a hardware wallet, and they only allow you to deposit and withdraw up to $10,000 per week. Now that may sound like a lot, but imagine that you put $5,000 in and suddenly Bitcoin shoots up 1,000% like it did at the end of 2017. So now that's a lot of money, and so 50,000, you sell it, but you have to wait 5 weeks to gradually transfer that money back to your bank account. And I understand why they're doing it. They're probably, I would guess, trying to stay under the federal reporting limits and all that. But for me, I do not want my money stuck somewhere that I cannot move it or withdraw it. For me, that's just a big, big no-no. So that is why I say, that this is great for a starter account, but not your serious investments. Now, a couple of other things to know about investing with Circle. You can buy and sell, as of this recording, 7 of the top crypto assets. They are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Monero, Ethereum Classic, and Zcash. But I don't recommend it. And for more on why, I'd suggest that you have a look at my blog post, which is titled "What is an ICO and what are the risks of investing in them?" Or you can also alternatively check out episode number 16 of the podcast, which was another Ask Kim question about what is an ICO and why don't you invest in them. There are links to those for a quick reference in the show notes of this episode. Okay, back to Circle. They also have a button where with one click, you can buy all 7 of those crypto assets, weighted and constantly rebalanced in your account for you by market cap. So it's basically a little personal index fund. But even though the technology is awesome, it really is, that's slick, right? And will someday be useful. I don't recommend that either for the same reason. I really think that you should stay far, far, far away from the altcoins for the foreseeable future, for the reasons I've outlined in both that blog post and podcast episode. But the technology is way cool. Another selling point of Circle is that it is free, meaning they don't charge you for buying or selling or depositing or withdrawing funds like other exchanges do. But as my husband always says, nothing is free, it's included. So in this case, that seems like a really great deal, right? Ooh, it's free, included, but is it really? You don't really know. The way that they get paid, and they do disclose this on their website, is they also own what's known as an OTC trading desk. You'll see that when you go to their website, an over-the-counter trading desk. And they use that trading desk to make your buys and sells, and that trading desk takes a percentage out of every trade. But you don't see it because it isn't reported as a fee. It just comes right out of the price, right? So they say it's roughly 1%, but it's the same problem I have with mutual funds. People don't think that they're paying a fee, or maybe they know in the back of their head that they do, but because they don't see a line for it on their brokerage statement or their trade confirmation, they lose track of the impact. And the impact of fees is really, really meaningful, especially obviously the higher they are. So, just as a rule, I always prefer transparency over having it bundled into the price. That way I know exactly what I am paying and I can compare it apples to apples with everyone else. Okay? So it's very definitely not free. And it's not super transparent. Now, but broadly, if you believe them, just think 1%. Okay? And another thing that makes it very frictionless, meaning Circle for newcomers, is that they keep custody of all your assets. So again, I mentioned this before. You don't have to transfer the funds to a hardware wallet and guard your seed words and all of that stuff that tends to intimidate newcomers. But I would argue that for real money, that is not a plus because, as Andreas Antonopoulos always says, your cryptographic keys, your money, not your keys, not your money. Okay, so you are relying on them to secure your crypto assets. And they tell you when you can withdraw it and to where, which is not really keeping with the whole spirit of decentralized money. But, again, fine for small amounts if that promotes people getting into the market. I kind of think of Circle as kind of like the AOL of the early days, the early internet days, okay? But what if you're planning to invest more than $1,000? Then you are going to want to use one of the platforms that's designed for institutional and active traders, even if you have no intention of being an active trader, which I definitely don't advise. Okay? And here, what you give up in pretty interfaces, you gain in other areas, most notably fees, lower fees, and more control. So in this category, I believe that there are 4 main choices. They are Gemini, Coinbase Pro, which used to be called GDAX, ITBIT, ITBIT, and Kraken, Kraken. I'll put links to all of these in the show notes. And there are others, but based on my criteria, I think going any further down the list, it starts to get a little bit sketchy. So what you're going to do is it's sort of an individual choice. What you're doing is you are doing a little balancing act between what I think there should be the following criteria: fees, meaning the trading fees that they charge, or not just trading fees. There's also incidental fees like wire transfers and all those other things. Okay, but fees, the jurisdictions they operate in, the assets that they offer, how deep is their liquidity, meaning how much volume goes through their exchange, regulation and insurance, financing and capital structure. If they were hacked, do they have enough money to pay you back? Are they going to be around for a while? Things like that. Are they just built in somebody's garage? Do we even know who they are, really? Security, because even for briefly, they will have custody of your money and your assets for some period, customer service, and their reputation. Okay, so those are all the things that I am looking at when I'm going to choose who to trade with. Your trading fees, okay, are going to range from 0.1, and by the way, these change quite a bit. So as of today, end of July 2018, Kraken was at 0.16%. ITBIT is 0.25%. Coinbase Pro, formerly GDAX, is at 0.3. And by the way, this is for their lowest trading levels, meaning their most expensive fees, assuming that you do very, very, very little buying and selling. And I was surprised to see that as of recently, Gemini just raised their fees to 1%, which is a huge jump. They sure weren't very, well, they obviously didn't publicize that because I missed it. Okay, so itBit is, as I understand it, available in all 50 states. They're the only one of the 4 that is. I have asked for confirmation from that because I can't find it on their website anywhere, but that is my understanding. Hey, y'all. Kim here from the editing booth. Just wanted to let you know I did hear back from itBit rather quickly, I might add, and I was incorrect. They are not in Texas or Tennessee. So 48 states, not Texas or Tennessee. Okay, back to the show. Gemini is not available in Arizona or Hawaii. Coinbase Pro is not available in Wyoming or Hawaii. And Kraken is not available in New York and Washington State. In terms of the assets, okay, just to give you an idea, Kraken offers Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, EOS, Gnosis, Tether, Ethereum Classic, Ethereum, Litecoin, Augur, Stellar Lumens, Monero, Ripple, and Zcash in exchange for US dollars. And many of these are also available in Canadian dollars, euros, and Japanese yen as well. And they have a few more that can be bought with Bitcoin. So you would buy Bitcoin with your fiat currency, native currency, and then exchange the Bitcoin for those other more obscure coins. So I'd say, of the 4 exchanges, Kraken definitely has the deepest stable of altcoins, if that matters to you. As I've already said, I don't think you should be investing in those, but that's me. At least for now. Coinbase Pro, formerly GDAX, offers US dollar exchange on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash, but they have very recently announced their intention to add quite a few others. And they also offer some of these same ones in euros, and they offer Bitcoin in British pounds. And then as of June 14th, 2018, I say that because itBit, one of the reasons most people didn't look at itBit is because they only offered Bitcoin. Now they also offer, in addition to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Stellar Lumens. And then finally, Gemini offers US dollar exchange only, and only on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Zcash for the moment also. Although I think they have also said that they plan to add some in the future. In terms of regulation, security, capital backing, I won't go into this deeply. You can read about it and should read about it on their websites. I am quite comfortable personally with Coinbase Pro, Gemini, and itBit. All are FDIC insured and regulated, either as New York trust companies and or working on more regulation, which to me is a very good thing. Kraken, not so much. In fact, they've even, anyway, I'll just leave it at that. You make your own call there. On Bitcoin, all of them are among the top 10 exchanges in terms of volume. Coinbase Pro is highest at 42 billion volume on Bitcoin in the last 24 hours. itBit is lowest amongst these 4 at 6 billion, but still decent, enough for my purposes. Now the nitty gritty of working with these platforms, the user interface at all of these is going to be very intuitive. I said this before, and familiar for savvy investors who've done lots of online buying and selling in other markets. But for newcomers, not so much. It's really intimidating until someone explains what you are looking at. There are these trading pairs and bids and asks and charts and order books, and it's like, it looks like you're controlling a rocket ship or something. But don't let that scare you off, because the thing is, in these early days at least, the more intuitive the interface, the higher the fees. So Coinbase, which is the pretty retail version of Coinbase Pro, charges approximately 3% all in to do the exact same thing that Coinbase Pro charges 0.3% for. And really, the only difference is that the Coinbase Pro is for active traders and Coinbase is for your grandma. And, and it's really easy to use Coinbase, and Coinbase Pro has, this pro interface. But they use the exact same exchange, the exact same backend. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. It's basically just, a different skin on the same backend. So it is absolutely worth figuring out the pro interface for that sort of difference in fees. Huge, massive, okay? And this is kind of a side tangent, but if you already have money in Coinbase, because I had someone else write me an email about that just the other day, they mentioned they were using Coinbase, and I was like, ooh, moving it over to Coinbase Pro is really, really simple since they share the same back office. And I will put a link to their documentation on that in the show notes as well. But that is on their website. If you just search move Coinbase to Coinbase Pro, you'll find it. It's really simple. It's like a couple buttons. So anyway, so that's how you choose. So, to open an account at one of these, and by the way, Dean asked me for a recommendation. I'm not going to give a recommendation. I actually, in my Sane Crypto Mastermind, I do, but I also will tell you that I recommend opening an account with all of these. Or at least multiple, depending on, your jurisdiction. And the reason is that they do, the landscape changes all the time. You might not think you're going to need it, but if cryptocurrency goes crazy, like it did at the end of 2017, a bunch of them shut down and you couldn't open an account. They weren't accepting new accounts for 6 months. There's just many reasons why, unlike, you would never think to do that with a stock. You wouldn't have, Schwab and Fidelity with just, Fidelity sitting there as backup in case you needed it. But in the crypto asset world, it actually does make a lot of sense. And I know it's a total pain, which you're about to find out why that is. But that's my recommendation. And as to which one you use as your primary, on the podcast, I don't really think I'm comfortable making a recommendation because it's going to be specific to your situation and it changes quite a lot. All right, but to open an account at one or all of these, it's going to take quite a bit more doing than at Circle, suffice it to say. And that is mostly because of the anti-money laundering and know your customer requirements, which you will also hear referred to in shorthand as AML, KYC requirements here in the United States. And the steps, though, will be roughly the same for each. First, you will find their open account or get started button somewhere on their website. You will have to provide them with, name, rank, and serial number, your name, your address, your social security number, all the typical things that you would give a bank or TD Ameritrade when you were opening an account. And then the next step is to verify your identity. Now, this frustrates some people, but understand what's happening here. In a brick and mortar bank, you slide your driver's license and a second form of ID across the desk. That's what that you're verifying your identity. Okay, this is not something unique to crypto assets, but here you have to go through the online equivalent of that. And some will make you take. Oh, and by the way, they go a little bit one step further, by the way, I think, than, like the traditional stock and brokerage firms, because crypto assets do have a reputation for, some bad actors using it, even though, bad actors use cash too. But, and you can buy, as you're about to hear, you can buy the Bitcoin and then transfer it off of the exchange 5 minutes later, and it's gone, and they have no control or recourse. Where, as with a traditional brokerage firm, that that all tends to sit there in the brokerage firm. So it may feel like there's a little bit more to it, but that's a good thing. So, all right. So some, as I started to say, some may make you either like take a selfie of yourself holding your ID, your passport, your driver's license, whatever it is, in a way that is readable. That way, when they do that, is the biggest pain. Most will just have you take a photo of the required forms of identification itself and upload it. I find that using my phone is much more reliable than using a webcam, by the way. You use your phone, snap the picture, and then transfer that image to your computer, whatever, through Dropbox or however you want to do that, and then upload that image. Anyway, and then they will verify that you are who you say you are. And this can take anywhere from 6 hours to 6 weeks or more, depending on how hot cryptocurrency is. Okay. Now, again, right now, most are taking well under 24 hours, provided that your image is readable and they don't have to kick it back to you. But back in the day, back in January, February, March, as I already mentioned, a lot of these exchanges just stopped accepting new accounts, period. And the ones who were accepting, were taking 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe more, because the backlog was so great. I mean, at one point, I think Coinbase said they were taking in like 50,000 new account applications per day. So anyway, you get the picture, okay? But generally, right now, where everything is sane, it's generally under 24 hours, okay? And then, so you'll get something back from them saying, yep, we verified your identity. The next step, either concurrent with that or after that, depending on what you want to do, is to connect your bank account. And, just know you're going to connect your bank account, but depending on how much you're planning to invest, you are probably going to end up wiring the funds, wire transfer. Some exchanges will allow small ACH deposits. That's the automated one that happens between your bank and your account, like the Circle one. Some will only accept wire transfer. It does vary by exchange, as does how quickly those funds are available for trading. It's, kind of situational. But, with any large dollar amount, particularly, if you're investing 20, 30, 50, 60,000 kind of money, retirement fund type money, then obviously that's going to have to be a wire transfer, which means you got to go to the bank in many cases and, prove to them that you are who you say you are, wanting to, anyway, and that's, that's kind of the pain of it. But anyway, let's see, where am I going? Oh, so once they notify you that your identity's been verified and your funds have arrived and are available to trade no matter how they got there, then you will make your first purchase. And, to be honest, that's the easy part. Getting your account set up is the time-consuming and frustrating part. And what I will do is, just so you have a sense of it for those who can't really picture this, I will add a snippet of a video from our Sane Crypto Mastermind to the show notes that just shows you a purchase being made on one of these pro platforms, so that you can, and they will all look slightly different, but be basically the same, right? So that you can see that in spite of all the bells and whistles on the page, that, it really is actually quite simple. It happens quite fast. It's nothing to be afraid of. And that is it. You're now, once you hit the buy button, you're now the proud owner of crypto assets. I definitely, I think I alluded to this previously when we were talking about Circle. I definitely don't recommend that you leave those assets sitting on the exchange. For security reasons, you'll want to transfer them to what's known as a hardware wallet, but that is beyond the scope of this question, and so we'll leave security as a topic for another day, but just want you to be aware of that. All right, as always, I hope you found that helpful. Was it? If so, you could do me a great, great big favor in return. I know we all ask this every day, but it's so important to us as podcasters that you, one, subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode, and two, that if you did get value from it, that you leave a 5-star rating with review, with comments and feedback. And that is because there is an algorithm in iTunes, the iTunes gods, and, rule all, and they depend, whether or not they show this podcast to anyone is a function of that. How many people subscribe and how many people leave comments and feedback in the reviews. So anyway, you get the idea. I sure would. I know people ask me to, and I think I should do it. I will do it. And then I don't. So I'm asking. If you would like to learn more about investing in crypto assets for retirement and my system for doing that, then I would recommend my free online training, how a little bit of Bitcoin can make your retirement savings go a lot further. You can find that sanecrypto.com/retirement. If, by the way, I did not mention this previously, but if you'd like to get my full recommended list, it's not fancy. It's my personal list, my personal worksheet, but it includes both the tools that I use, and I do. The beauty of it is that it's not a PDF. It actually, as I update it, it'll update for you too. It's a workflowy document, and so, for example, in researching this, I realized that Gemini just went up in price, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, so I'll change that list, and you would still have. So anyway, it's the tool. It includes both the tools I use and recommend, brokerage. See, I did it again. Exchanges, hardware wallets, VPNs, etc. And also my investor curriculum, which I talked about in last week's episode for everyone from the newbie family CFO to the seasoned investor. And in fact, I've already added a bunch of stuff to that since last week. So if you would like to get that, your hands on that as a resource, you can, what you do is go to sanecrypto.com/reading. And even though it's also the tools, it's not just reading. And that will take you to last week's episode. And if you'll just scroll about halfway down the page, you'll see the opt-in box to get that list. Okay. And then finally, you can get the full show notes of this episode as always, at sanecrypto.com/podcast, including the links to all the exchanges we talked about, the resources I mentioned, the video showing you the purchase and the screenshots and other sundry items. This will be kind of a long show notes this week. And in fact, I may even put the transcript of this up. We'll see. If it's not up there right away, I will add it because I think there was enough detail in this that you would probably find that helpful. So anyway, that will all be in the show notes. So again, that was a lot. So I'll repeat it. The free training is at sanecrypto.com/retirement. The full recommended list, including tools and investor curriculum, is at /reading. And the show notes are at /podcast. And finally, if you have a question about today's topic or anything else, just email me like Dean did at askkim@sanecrypto.com. I read and answer every email personally, as well as answer some of them here on the show, just like I did today. Everything I say on this show is for educational purposes only. Nothing should be considered investment advice. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risks, so do not, under any circumstances, invest money you can't afford to lose. That's it for me. I'm Kim Snyder. I'll be back next week. Until then, may the crypto gods continue to smile on us all.